Have you ever gone to a cottage in the deep woods with a few friends and things just didn't feel right? Well, today you'll hear a story about 4 young teens dropped off at a cottage and given just one rule to follow. Don't go outside after dark. This story is by Gatineau student writer Lexi-Jade McCowan. Pull up a chair around the campfire and listen in to Minutes to Sunrise. Me and my friends, Jordan, Lucas, and Hayden, were all staying at my parents' old cottage for a week. They dropped us off alone and drove away. The forest surrounding the cottage looked darker than usual. It was silent and eerie, no birdsong, no chittering squirrels. I could feel that something was off. We went inside and tried to clear out most of the spiders before eating our lunch. The cottage had a kitchen and living room downstairs, and 2 bedrooms upstairs. Jordan and I would share one room, while Lucas and Hayden shared the bedroom down the hall. Lucas's dog, Tex, would sleep downstairs. There's only one rule we must follow, I told everyone after lunch. Don't go outside after dark. My parents had always made that rule clear. There were things in these woods that you didn't want to run into at night. We spent the afternoon swimming and playing frisbee. Then we built a fire and had a delicious supper of steaks and baked potatoes cooked right over the coals. We went inside just before sundown and played cards around the kitchen table. Tex whined at the door. I can't let him run free out there by himself, Lucas said. There could be coyotes. I'll take him for a walk. No way, I said. It's already dark outside. That's the one rule we have to follow. The dog has to pee, everyone argued. Tex whined some more. I'll only be a few minutes, Lucas said. Then he went outside into the dark, silent woods. We waited for a minute, then 2 minutes, 3, 4, 5. We couldn't see Lucas from the window, and we started to worry. Let's just wait a little longer, I said. After 20 minutes, we went outside looking for him. Jordan suggested that we shouldn't split up because we shouldn't be outside in the first place. We'll be safer together, she said, and Hayden and I agreed. The farther we walked from the cottage, the deeper into the woods, the more scared we became. It's so quiet, Jordan whispered. Suddenly in the distance there was a faint cry for help. Lucas! Hayden shouted. We ran towards the sound, but then we heard the most terrifying, deathly scream. And I knew I was never going to see Lucas ever again. Well, at least not alive. We forced ourselves to keep moving. Everything was as quiet as possible now, as we headed to the spot where the scream had come from. There was no trace of anyone. No Lucas, no Tex. We called their names and searched through the creepy, dead-like woods for another 20 minutes, but we found nothing. As soon as we got back to the cottage, we tried to call the police, but there was no cell service this deep in the forest. We'll have to walk to town, Hayden said. We're hours away in the middle of nowhere, and it's almost midnight, I argued. And what if Lucas comes back? Jordan said. No one answered her. We were all remembering the sound of Lucas's scream. Okay, Hayden said. We'll get up with the sun and walk to the nearest cell tower. I couldn't sleep. All I could think about was how scared Lucas must have been out in the woods. He never heard a fly, and his poor dog. Jordan tossed and turned in the bed across from me, and I suspected that Hayden wasn't sleeping any easier in his room down the hall. I'd almost dozed off when the unimaginable happened. Heavy footsteps sounded from downstairs. They were loud enough to track exactly where they were going, from the front door to the living room, then to the kitchen and around the kitchen table. It was like they were searching for something, or someone. Maybe it's Lucas, I thought. Or maybe whatever took Lucas is coming for the rest of us. I quickly woke up Jordan. She heard the footsteps too. I'll get Hayden, I whispered. We'll be safer if we're all together. No, Jordan whimpered. I'm scared to stay here alone. I'll be right back, I said. As I ran down the hall to Hayden's bedroom, the footsteps grew louder. They were climbing the stairs now. I burst into Hayden's room and shook him awake. The footsteps thumped down the hallway and then stopped. We heard Jordan scream, followed by the sound of breaking glass. We ran down the hall in hope of saving Jordan, but it was too late. She was gone, along with whatever had taken her. The bedroom window was shattered. Hayden rushed downstairs, and I followed him outside to the back of the cottage, below the broken window. We used the flashlights on our phones to search the ground, looking for tracks. Hayden screamed, and I turned toward him. I was shocked to see in the beam of his flashlight what was left of Jordan's body. She'd been ripped apart. Giant bites had been taken from her flesh by enormous sharp teeth. "It's my fault," I cried. "I left her alone to be eaten alive by that monster." "It's not your fault," Hayden said. He pulled the light off Jordan's lifeless face. My best friend was gone forever. "I should never have let Lucas go outside after dark," I said. "It would never have found us if we just stayed inside." "Too late now," Hayden said. We knew we had to leave, but how? Our parents wouldn't come for us till the end of the week. We couldn't call for help. Our only hope was to wait for dawn and leave on foot, even though we didn't know the route. We had no other plan, no idea how to beat this monster. So we just waited. "I think there's a pitchfork in the tool shed," I said, "and maybe an axe." We crept through the darkness and opened the shed door. Hayden passed me a pitchfork and grabbed a shovel for himself. "We'll take these with us," he said, "in case it follows." "I don't think it comes out in daylight," I said. I looked up at the black sky with a tinge of grey on the horizon. Sunrise won't be long now. But when we turned around, there on the cottage porch was the monster. It had crept up silently through the shadows. It flinched in the light of our phones. It was a tall, dark creature with eyes as black as night and huge teeth as sharp as knives, dripping with fresh blood. My friend's blood. It stepped to the edge of the porch, closer to us. "Run!" Hayden screamed. In a last chance for survival, we separated and ran into the woods. It could only follow one of us, I thought. Only one of us would die horribly, like Lucas and Jordan had died. The other one might get away. It was only minutes till sunrise, after all. One of us was going to make it. I ran as fast and as far as I could, until I tripped on a rock and fell to the dirt. The pitchfork flew from my hand. I scrambled to my knees and turned to look behind me, and it was right there, thirsty for blood, looking me dead in the eyes. And that's when I knew I was never making it home. Thank you, Lexi-Jade. Lexi-Jade McCowan is a 12-year-old student who really likes sports. Lexi-Jade says, "Normally I don't like writing, but I wanted to give it a try. So I worked really hard, and now here I am. So my advice to any other young writers is, keep working hard. Don't give up." And now, on to our final student story.